For anybody that's trying to study Japanese or any other language, this should be a little light introduction. So this has become like my Japanese learning clothes. So in the context, it would be これは時計です more efficient. I found Yotsubato really helpful. Yeah, it's crazy. It's a lot of fun. You should try it. Hello, so today we're going to be looking at how I studied Japanese, and for anybody that's trying to study Japanese or any other language for that matter, this should be a little light introduction to how you can go about doing that and what worked for me, and some different books that I quite enjoyed and made a big impact on my language learning experience. So at the moment I have the top level of the JLPT, so N1, and I've been living in Japan now for about 3 or 4 years, so I've never really had much problems living here. And I started studying for the JLPT when I was already in Japan. I did try it once when I was in the UK, but I actually failed it my first time, and then I tried it again like 2 years later and I managed to pass. In total, I'd say about 5 or 6 years. To be honest, I did do like really rudimentary, like basic practicing for quite a while, but it was like watching like a 5-minute YouTube video where they would teach like one grammar thing. But to be honest, it didn't really have any impact. I couldn't speak anything, and I was lucky enough to come to Japan multiple times when I was younger. But for those times as well, I mainly just spoke to people in English, and I never really tried speaking Japanese. So it wasn't until like maybe my final year of uni where I probably tried to start studying, and I dedicated a lot of, like a considerable amount of my time to it. And after that, it was about 5 years, let's say. So today I'm wearing a dotera. Nobody actually knew what the word was, so we had to do a bunch of last-minute Googling. But it's basically a padded kimono. And why I'm wearing it is because when I was studying Japanese, basically, I tried to wake up at like 6 a.m. and then I would make like a coffee and I'd read manga or a book. Because it's quite cold in the mornings in England, I would always wear this. So this has become like my Japanese learning clothes, if that makes sense. So the way I learned Japanese was with something called AJAP, which is where you study Japanese 24/7, or basically all Japanese all of the time. And you basically you're constantly reading it, or listening to it, or watching it, or whatever, speaking it. But the idea is that you just force lots of input into your brain. The more input, the better. And actually, this can be kind of difficult for people, so I wouldn't recommend it to everybody. But the actual thing when it comes to learning a language is that anybody can use, and that I think, you know, books and things they should have it written in books, but you kind of don't see it often. It's a very simple equation. It's basically, so it's just I plus 1, where I is, it's basically, I means all of the words that you can comprehend and understand, and then the plus 1 is one word that you don't understand. And your goal to learn an entire language is to just find these sentences of I plus 1, where you know all of the sentence plus one word that you don't understand, as often as possible. And then when you do that, it instantly goes into your brain and you kind of work out through context what that extra word means. So the next time you just find another plus 1. And you just do that as much as possible, and that's learning a language. The reason why you listen to Japanese all of the time is so that you increase your chance of finding a sentence like this. So if you can like use an app and like use flashcards or things like that, you can find this more like 効率的? More efficient. And that's basically what I did for a couple of years. So I would use flashcards. I was using like, we'll put a screenshot of how many flashcards I looked at each day and how often I did it. You can get an idea of what it takes to learn Japanese in a very short amount of time. But basically, if you did this, anybody can do it. So it's not about age or person or drive or anything like that. It's got nothing to do with how smart you are. It's just a matter of finding this sentences that you kind of understand with one word where you don't understand and just repeating that infinitely. Let's just do an infinite. And now everybody can learn languages. To explain it in a way that everybody can understand, let's take a really simple これは時計です. So that means this is a clock. But let's say you don't know what 時計 means, but you know what これは is. So in the context, it would be これは時計です. And so you know that the thing that you didn't understand is likely the thing that they're holding, being a clock. And through that, if you repeat this process loads and loads and loads of times, you can understand all kinds of different words and gradually build up your comprehension. And then you can read the newspaper or watch a movie or anything like that. To help with finding these kind of contexts and these sentences, these +1 sentences, you have to read content that you can comprehend or you understand, and so things that are to your level. To help with that, I recommend finding different books that you enjoy reading for your current level. For me, when I first started Japanese learning, I found Yotsubato really helpful because it's very simple Japanese. And but this is the latest volume, but I obviously started with volume 1. It's just like a bunch of kids and getting into fun little adventures and little shenanigans and all little episodes. So it doesn't really follow on. I mean, there isn't any kind of plot. It's just her growing up. And so it's really helpful because you can find the parent is teaching the kid how to act properly in Japanese society. So you actually learn lots of different kind of societal rules about Japan in a very easy way without even realizing that's what you're doing. And she speaks only in hiragana because she's like a baby. That's really helpful for when you're learning because you might not be familiar with much kanji. But as she gets older and the stories get a little bit more complex, in the latest issue, it's still very easy to understand, but it gets slowly more difficult as you improve in your Japanese by reading it as well, which is kind of nice. And yeah, I had a lot of fun reading it. I recommend it to everybody as their starting manga if they want to do something that isn't studying from a study book. Basically, the idea behind how I learned Japanese was this equation, and then you try to find different ways of finding those sentences, but you have to continue doing it. You have to keep trying and going out of your way to find these things and do it, because obviously in the UK there is not much Japanese to find walking around. And so learning how to continue or actually try to every day just residually build up a skill was very challenging, because it's not something that I had ever really done before. And for that, I recommend this book here, 続ける力っていう本. And that was really, really helpful for me to try to work out how to actually improve on something every single day. It was a nice way to learn that. And I think the person who made AJAP famous also recommends that book. So that was, it might be something that you've heard before. With this book as well, there's an audiobook. So even if you can't read, you can listen to it at the same time as reading, and so you can follow along easier. So when I first started learning and trying to read, it's pretty overwhelming because there's so much kanji that you can't read. And so when it came to reading full books, it was helpful to listen and then move with my finger along the page, and that kept me concentrated and focused on the thing that I was trying to read as well, and helped improve my reading speed as well as comprehension. So that's a good little tip. And then my third book is this by Okamoto Taro. And well, first of all, you can tell that just by looking at the cover, the red is really eye-catching. It's awesome. And the bold font. And it's saying, 自分の中に毒を持て. And that means carry poison within yourself, if you're a bit of a rough translation. But this was also really, really helpful as a way for me, because I endeavored to learn Japanese basically 24/7. So it meant that the people around me didn't really understand what I was doing, and I didn't really understand what I was doing because obviously I just decided to do it one day. Reading this really helped me develop like the mindset where it's like you don't have to do what everybody around you is saying or doing, and you can do things that you think for yourself and act on your own beliefs and things like that. So it's like a self-help book, but it's also quite simply put. It's very direct, and it's very easy to understand even if you can't read much Japanese. So sentences aren't very complex. So I found it quite fun to read, and it was my first time reading something so like brazen or like rough in the way he writes, but like yeah, this was very influential for me. And so if you're looking to try and start learning Japanese from like absolutely zero, I would recommend finding something that you like, because you're going to want to continue this over a long period of time. You can't learn something overnight. So you're going to want to be able to continue this like every day. You don't have to study for like 10 hours, 20 hours a day. All it takes is just a little bit every single day. And so you just do what you can do. And so for me, that was like watching anime or reading manga or things like that, because to me, that's like play. It's not anything to do with work or like anything high pressure. It's completely something that I wanted to do, and it's easy. And so a lot of people that try to study Japanese already have an interest in the culture through like anime or some other thing. That there's a reason why you want to learn Japanese, not just to learn Japanese. So if you can harness that, for example, if you watch a lot of anime, just try watching the anime without subtitles, or with Japanese subtitles is the best, because it helps you familiarize with them. So you're basically doing kanji practice when you didn't even realize. And those little things that you can start right away. And then another thing is that I used extensively is an app called Anki, but there will be a million videos on YouTube, probably now in the recommended, that you can look at to find out how to set that up and whatever. But effectively, without getting too complicated, it's an SRS. I'll put the meanings somewhere here. And it's basically like flashcards, but super efficient. But you can find a million videos detailing what that is. So for you guys that want to start right now and don't know where to start and haven't learned anything about Japanese before, I'd start with something that I like, and just, turn those subtitles off. So in terms of good things that come from being able to speak a language is obviously you get to speak the language, so you get to learn and touch and feel a whole different way of living than you can in your current language. You get to know about like deep cultures that you would have otherwise no way of knowing, and you get to understand it on like a more fundamental level. Like it's not just about reading a Wikipedia article and being like, oh, okay, Obon is a holiday in the summer. It's like, oh, okay, this is what people feel when they're doing Obon. Like they go to the graveyards and everybody goes and takes family holidays and they watch the summer baseball and all this kind of stuff. It happens to everybody intuitively. If you're Japanese, you have this feeling, but through learning a language, you can kind of access that as well. And that's like indescribable. It has immense value it changes your very core experience of the world. So it's amazing. And obviously you get to meet loads of new people, you get to travel. I'm in a place I never thought I'd ever be, looking into a camera. So I never thought that was going to happen. So it's crazy. It's a lot of fun. It's a little bit tough at times, but I don't know, it's great fun. You should try it. And so if you are interested in learning Japanese, or about how I learned it, or how you can set yourself up to learn it, leave a comment down below and I'll answer it to my best ability and help you out on getting your little journey started. So if there's anything that you're remotely interested in or curious about, please leave a comment down below. And leave it to me.